It is now my honor and pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Reverend Rasheryl McCreary. The name may sound familiar. Reverend Rasheryl is a licensed minister with Centers for Spiritual Living and serves as an outreach minister at CLS Palm Springs. She grew up in religious science and has been a member of multiple CSL churches all over the country since childhood. In 1993, Rasheryl became a licensed practitioner at Agape International under the tutelage of Michael Bernard Beckwith. Rasheryl has served as a keynote speaker at CSL conventions and conferences, and as a workshop retreat facilitator, board and business consultant, and leadership coach to CSL churches and ministers. She has also served on the Centers for Spiritual Living Leadership Council. Reverend Rasheryl is also a Georgetown University trained executive leadership coach and business strategist, and the CEO of Dow Leadership Development, Inc., where she has trained and coached thousands of leaders in Fortune 100 companies and major business schools. Reverend Rasheryl also currently sits on the board of directors for the Arizona Foundation for Women. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker this morning, Reverend Rasheryl McCreary.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Carrie. I truly appreciate that. It's a mouthful. I have to edit that introduction. I'm so thrilled to be here, Creative Living Fellowship. I'm so thrilled to be here today, and so sending love and support and good juju and good vibes to Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary, who's also my mom. So, Mom, I hope you're relaxing. So today I'm so thrilled to talk about a topic that I love and that I think is so timely. And the talk title today is Give to Prosper, Release to Receive. So, there is so much going on right now, and I always go to sort of the headlines of things that are grabbing our attention, right? So there's all this talk about inflation. So gas is, in some places, gas is like $6 a gallon, if not more. We're hearing about prices going up, about the consumer price index is up, as high as it's been since the 1980s. We're hearing about rent increases and food increases. I know here in Phoenix, for those of us who live here in Phoenix, we're seeing unprecedented increases in rent increases, housing, people's rents going up $500 a month, $800 a month. Real estate prices are just running super high. And a recent poll said that 9 out of 10 Americans are worried about inflation. Super worried about inflation. How do I deal with this when my, when it looks like my income is, or my rent has gone up and it's eating up most of my income? How do I deal with this when I have children, when I have a family? How am I dealing with all of this stuff that is going on? So this is what's happening in the news right now. And when we hear these kinds of numbers, we hear these statistics, we go to the store and we see the price increases when we're shopping, when we get the notice from our landlord, if you're renting, that your rent is going up by $600 a month, the natural tendency is to restrict, to constrict, to hold your breath, to conserve, to cut back. Right, that's the natural tendency, or just to check out. I'm going to sleep, eat, drink, whatever. I'm just checking out of this whole thing. That's the natural tendency, is to do that. And so what I am want to talk about today is how do we experience more abundance in the face of increasingly seeming lack. Right, there's wars and rumors of war and all this stuff going on that's making us want to hold on and hold back and cut back. And so, how can I experience abundance? How can I be in this circulation, in this feeling of having enough, more than enough? Even if I am okay financially, how can I be in that place? And so the answer is, first and foremost, to get ourselves aligned with the law of circulation. Right, the law of circulation. And so just allowing our minds, allowing our thoughts, allowing our attention to be centered in the law of circulation. When you think about it, healthy circulation includes giving and receiving, and we see it happen naturally in the body. Right? There's the inhale and the exhale. There's blood that courses through our veins, right? The law of circulation is a law of circles. It's circular, right? Things move in, things move out. In the ocean, the waves move in and the waves move out, right? There's a natural law of circulation that happens in our bodies, that happens in the rotation of seasons that happens. This is just a natural law that happens that we forget about. So the first step in experiencing more abundance right now, more peace right now, is to align with that law that already exists. Now, Eric Butterworth in Spiritual Economics says that in the minds of many students, it's a matter of making divine law work. But the truth is, you can't make law work. Law is an inexorable process. You're always in the working milieu of law. As for example, you're always under the influence of gravity. So it's foolish to say, I'm going to make a demonstration of gravity. The fact is that gravity is a constant. And it's the same thing with the law of circulation or any natural law. It is a constant. We are living in it. We are moving in it. We are part of it. It is a part of us. It is how things operate. So we can't make it happen, right? And many times I'll hear people say, I'm going to make this, or I'm going to do this thing to make something happen or to manifest, which manifest means to reveal. You're not making something happen. You're revealing what's already there, right? And in this law, and when you think about the law of circulation, it's about how do I come into alignment with that which already is? Because the world wants to tell me that things are limited, that I need to constrict, I need to restrict, I need to not, barely breathe to try to get through this. And the truth is that the law of circulation is always happening and it is always available to us. In fact, in the reading that Rhonda did from the law of divine compensation by Marianne Williamson, she says nature itself displays economy, but not austerity, right? So what she's saying is it displays economy. There's a grace, there's a balance, there's a flow, there's a way that nature operates, but it doesn't display austerity. Like I'm cutting off, I'm cutting back. Seasons aren't going to change. We're just going to hold on. Seasons aren't going to change, or certain things aren't going to happen. And so I invite you to begin to align with the law that already is by doing the simple things. First of all, just breathe. Right? As Reverend Dr. Sherry says, just breathe. The breath is an instant way of moving into circulation because it is the circulation of life in the body, that breathing in and out. Right? Think of other ways that you can move into the law of circulation. Can you just move around in your house? Can you get out more? Can you talk to people? So instead of sleeping your way through all that's going on, is there a way that you can be out and circulating, moving around, moving your body, going for walks, looking at nature? I was listening to someone talk about the law of circulation, saying that they had purchased a hula hoop, right? because they felt like that was a metaphor for circulation of just working with a hula hoop. So I invite you to find ways for yourself that you can be out and moving and your thoughts moving. So your spiritual practices of meditation and prayer is right in the law of circulation. It is you communicating with God. Communication is circulation. Right? There's a receiver, there's a giver, there's a communicator, there's a listener, there's a talker, there's a listener, right? So that in and of itself, prayer is circulation. Meditation, being receptive to spirit, letting spirit reveal itself to you is a circulation process, a circulation activity. And so I encourage you to find ways that you can naturally align with the law of circulation, the law of giving and receiving, the law of giving and receiving, the law of giving and receiving. If you are listening to this and you're near the ocean, I know I have lots of friends in California, go to the ocean, watch the tide. That is a natural circulation. Right now it's springtime and everywhere. And here in Phoenix, the birds are out and all these different things are happening. That is a circulation that is happening. So that is the first step, is to really find ways to align with the law that already exists. We're not inventing anything. We're not creating anything. We're not doing anything. We are experiencing what is. We are inviting what is. We are aligning with what already is. So that is the first step in for us right now in experiencing greater abundance in the face of the world that tells us that there is extreme lack and limitation. So the second thing I want you to really be thinking about as you explore how can I have greater abundance, greater ease, is to give to prosper, which is the first part of the title of this talk. This concept of giving to prosper, give to prosper. Now that sounds a little counterintuitive, but here's the thing: to give is to deliver voluntarily, to confer, to grant, or bestow something on someone else or on something, right? To confer, to grant, or bestow. I mean, just listen to those words in that definition. Those are words that indicate something is happening from a state of abundance. Something is overflowing from a state of abundance. It doesn't say eke out the least amount you can possibly, do and deliver that, right? That's not the definition of to give. Or, think of the minimum viable thing you can possibly do and then do that. It doesn't say, have whatever it is ripped from your fingers, right? The definition of give is to confer, to bestow something. So giving naturally is from a place of abundance, from a place and state of abundance, from the spiritual principle of abundance. And so our job then, if we want to give, if we want to experience more prosperity, more abundance, then we have to give. Here's why this is a little bit of a paradox, because sometimes when we're experiencing limitation or nervousness or fear or anxiety, or we want to practice austerity and start cutting, it's hard to think about giving because it seems like I only have a little bit. And if I don't have enough to give, right? I'm trying to feed my kids. I'm trying to do all these things. I don't have enough to give. And the truth is that, there's Luke chapter 6, verse 38 that says, give and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom. I love put into your bosom because to me that means the heart, right? Be put into your heart. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you, right? And so what that's saying is give from a place of overflowing, from that state of natural abundance. Everything that we could possibly desire has already been granted. God is abundance. Life is abundance. Overflowing. We see it. And again, we see it in nature. Right now, the leaves on the trees are not concerned about inflation. They're not concerned about the consumer price index. Animals are still, there's still little ducks being born in the pool this morning, right? There's still, life is still going on, and abundance is surging and surging and surging. Abundance is our natural state. And so when we give from abundance, when we confer, when we bestow from a state of abundance, it creates more abundance coming back to us, right? Because the law of circulation is a circle. It's a circle. So when we give from abundance, when we give from that natural state of overflow, when we give from that state, then we receive from that state. We receive more abundance. We receive more of whatever good things we desire in our lives, because we are giving from the same place that we're receiving from, right? And that is what it means when it says, for with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you, right? So if you're giving from an overflowing heart, abundance, a state of abundance, then you will receive in that same way. If you're giving to get, right? You're giving with strings attached. You're giving to manipulate or control, then it will come back to you in that same way. Right? Your abundance will come back to you in that same way. And so this is the moment that I want you to begin to think about, how can I give? If I am abundant, if God is all there is, if I am one with the all that is, if the state of abundance is my true nature, then what can I give? How can I give? Where do I give? And it may look like giving time. It may look like giving money. It may look like giving praise or positive words of uplift. It may look like giving an energy. It may look like giving attention. It may look like giving support, right? It may look like many, many, many things that you begin to practice giving from this place of abundance, overflowing, right? Overflowing, overflowing. I hear a lot with my corporate clients, and for myself, this is something I have to work on, is scarcity of time. Not so much money, but scarcity of time, right? And so getting into, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, right? That lack and limitation around time. And so what happens? You have less time, right? Because your focus is on how little time you have, and so you have less. So the law says, oh, okay, you don't have enough time here. Now you really don't have enough time. And so the more that you can move into with time, like, where can I give time? Where can I feel so filled up and so overflowing with an abundance of time that I can give 30 minutes here to have a cup of coffee with someone, or I can give 20 minutes here to be in prayer with someone, or I can give, an hour here just to self-care, right? Just giving time. So I want you to be thinking about, where in your life can you give? And I will say this: if what you need right now is money, and what is concerning you right now is inflation and financial prosperity and the M word, then you need to be giving money, right? And giving from a place of, give what you can, where you can, from a place of abundance, not from a place of fear, not from a place of gambling, not from a place of, okay, I'm going to give this amount, or I'm going to tithe this amount because I know I'm going to get, this much back, right? That's not the intention or the consciousness. It's just from a place of overflowing. Where can you give, 1%, 3%, 10%, a few dollars, lots of dollars? And so begin to move into that flow of the law of circulation by giving, because when you give from a place of abundance, you will prosper. You will prosper. When I was started ministerial school, and I've shared this story before. When I started ministerial school, I was running my business full time, and I was working as the de facto sort of executive director for a New Thought church, and I was in school full time. And that was a lot. For 3 years. I've sort of been in that process. And that's, it felt like there just wasn't enough time. And at the beginning, I was very concerned about, how am I going to run my business and keep my livelihood going and keep my business going in the face of these other things I'm doing that, where I'm not being compensated. And so I got this little nudge from Spirit in meditation to start tithing. I'm a tither, so I come from a family of tithers. I believe in giving 10% to my spiritual, where I get my spiritual nourishment. I also donate money, but tithing is a spiritual practice for me. And so in meditation, it came to me to start tithing on the gross revenue of my business. And I was like, say what now? Because, I'm like, Spirit, what exactly are you saying here? Because I thought it said in the rule book that you do 10% on your net, like on my salary that I pay myself. And so Spirit's like, no, you're going to tithe on the gross. On the gross, I get 10%. And so I obeyed, and I did that. And it was incredible what happened when I started tithing on 10% gross of my business. Business came in. I was supported in ways I cannot even tell you. So, sometimes in business, you have to do things to generate new business. You have to do business development, different things like that to get business going. And literally, things shifted where I did not really have to do business development. Business came in, repeat business came in. I mean, money just came in easily, effortlessly, consistently on all the things I'd already built over, more than a decade. And just my business was fully supported. And I was fully supported. Business came in. Now, I had work to do. I had to still deliver on that business that was coming in, and still be in school and still be doing this executive director role. But the truth is that in terms of my business, I didn't have to go through sort of the same things I go through every year in business development. I was taken care of. And that is coming from a place of giving right? Giving, being in that state, in that principle of abundance, knowing that I am abundant and knowing that by giving, I am going to prosper. By following that divine direction, I'm going to prosper. And so that has been my experience with giving to prosper. So I'm telling you stuff that I have experienced, not what I think, not what is theoretical, but actually like the practical walking through life stuff that I've experienced. So the third thing I want to share with you is in terms of this law of circulation is the third step is about releasing to receive, release to receive, right? Release to receive. And, Catherine Ponder says, if you want greater prosperity in your life, start forming a vacuum to receive it. Start forming a vacuum to receive it. Ernest Holmes says there are no voids because the universe abhors a vacuum. The universe abhors a vacuum. So what this means in terms of this law of circulation is many times we are blocking our blessings, blocking our ability to receive, right? The other part of that law of circulation, there's the giving and then there's the receiving. Both are equally important. And so many times we are blocking our ability to receive because our hands, our minds, our thoughts are full of other stuff, right? So, we might be holding on to stuff from the past. We might have a lot of mental clutter, emotional clutter, a lot of things going on, old limiting beliefs. Right? We have all the stuff that we're holding on to. Our hands are full, literally and figuratively, our hands are full. And so the blessings that would come our way, the abundance that would come our way can't get to us because we're full. We're full up to the top. We're full up to the top with our limitations. We're full up to the top with our fears. We're full up to the top with our anxiety, right? With all these things. And so that law of circulation that must express itself will find an outlet. It will find a vacuum. It'll find someplace else to go. It'll find a place where it's welcome, right? It's welcome. And so what I encourage you to think about here is what are the things that may be standing in the way of you actually receiving your good? And whatever they are, let's let them go. There's this beautiful quote by Rumi that I'm going to paraphrase, but basically it says something like, ours is not to seek for love. It is to remove the barriers we have against it, or the barriers we have to it, right? We don't need to go out and seek for something. We don't need to go out and seek for abundance. We just have to remove the barriers we may have to it. And the barriers are usually related to our beliefs. Right? Because if I believe this is a limited world, and if I believe I am ruled by inflation, and if I believe there's not enough money, and if I believe that if people over there are prospering, then I am losing, and so I need to compete with them. And if these people are doing great or this, or if I have something great, then somebody over there is losing. And so I have to, live this austere, self-flagellating existence. Then those are things that are keeping us, that are deterring our good from coming to us. Those are the things that are blocking the barriers that are keeping abundance from outpicturing, breaking out, busting out, and manifesting, revealing itself in our lives. Right? So this is the law. This is the law of circulation, is the giving to receive. I give from a place of abundance. I'm overflowing. I'm conferring. I'm giving. And it's just flowing out of me. And then I am open and receptive to receive. I'm open and receptive to receive. One little clue that you might not be you might not be as receptive as you think you are, or as prone to receptivity, is to look at how frequently you meditate, actually meditate, right? Here's what I found about meditators and what I've learned about myself. When I go through phases where I don't really want to meditate, but I really want to pray, I know that I am resistant to being receptive, right? Because meditation is a receptive practice. Classical meditation is a receptive practice, right? You are opening yourself to spirit. You are opening to divine wisdom, to divine intelligence. You are opening yourself to spirit. That is a receptive practice. And so I know for myself, when I don't want to really meditate, it's usually because I am like in mode where I want to go do stuff, right? I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to move my feet. I'm going to move my feet. right? Right. And that is always a clue for me. You need to sit down and be receptive. Like stop doing and start being. Yes. And so for yourself, notice for yourself, are you resistant to receptive practices? Even in your life, this can look like being receptive is listening more than talking. Being receptive is, and I say this with my clients all the time, because I work with people who are very ambitious, driven, successful people. And I'll say to them, and they're leaders, they're leading teams, leading people. And many times a hard thing for them to do is to ask open questions, right? This is another practice of receptivity that you can do, asking open questions. What do I mean by that? So a closed question is when you ask someone a question that will elicit a yes or no response. So I could say, Nicole, are you hungry? Right? And she can say yes or no. And that gives me a very finite answer, right? Very finite answer. Or a leading question, my favorite from my mom, who was a lawyer, is, I could say to Nicole, you look like you're really hungry. You look like you're really hungry right now. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Right? So I'm leading her to where I want her to go. Yes. But a practice of being receptive is to say, Nicole, how are you feeling? Right? How are you feeling? What do you think? What's going on with you? And many times we don't ask those kinds of questions because we don't want to listen. We don't want to be receptive and listen. We want to ask a closed question. We want to get to the thing. We want somebody just to answer, right? Just answer yes or no, and then I can go on, or answer yes or no so I can then keep talking, right? And asking an open question requires you to listen, because now I've thrown it wide open for Nicole to respond or whoever to respond. So these are the kinds of things, when you ask open questions, when you do your meditation practice, when you actually listen to people, when you decide to be present, just be present, not trying to get something, not trying to do something, just being present, just feeling into what someone is saying. These are all receptive practices. These are all things that put us in the mode of receiving. And then there's some obvious things, right? To create a vacuum is to clean out your space, right? So if there's clutter in your emotional body, if there's clutter in your mental body, if there's clutter in your physical body, if there's clutter in your energetic body, if there's clutter in your home, in your car, you can actually clean that out, right? Get rid of that stuff so that you have a vacuum. You have a space. So these are the practices. These are the things that you want to be thinking about in terms of how to really align with the law of circulation, that giving and receiving. Give to prosper, release to receive. So I'll end with a statement by Ernest Holmes. It says, prosperity is the outpicturing of substance in our affairs. Everything in the universe is for us. Nothing is against us. I'll say that again. Everything in the universe is for us, Nothing is against us. Life is ever giving of itself. We must receive, utilize, and extend the gift. Success and prosperity are spiritual attributes belonging to all people, but not necessarily used by all people. So with that, let's go ahead and turn within. And so just settling down into this knowingness that the universe is for us. God is for us. Life is abundant. There is one life, one presence, one power, one activity, one thing happening, and it is working for us. Has our best interests at heart, loves us, created us out of itself. And one indestructible, inexhaustible, loving presence. That presence is my life, my power, my knowingness. And I know that just as it is true for me, it's true for each one gathered here, that one life, that one presence, that one power that works for us is for everyone. That is the truth for each one gathered here. This is the truth that I know. And so I speak the word in total confidence this morning as I declare and know for each one divine and magnificent circulation of life, of goodness, of abundance, of prosperity, as I know for each one, peace of mind rooted in the rock of pure spirit, rooted in abundance, the ease of giving, the ease of receiving, the flow of a natural flow of finances, of health and vitality, of friendship, of relationships, of love. I claim it for each one within the sound of my voice, and anywhere on this planet needing this truth this day. We live in an abundant world, an abundant universe. It works for everyone. And so I know that we all are blessed no matter what the appearance. I know the presence of God is at hand no matter the appearance. And so I am just knowing right here, right now, that all is truly well. I speak a word for the CLF community, knowing that each one is blessed by this word, whether they're here or not. There's no time or space in spirit. I know that each one is blessed in this community and indeed in every community. I know and speak the word for the world at large, for any place in this world that is experiencing conflict or so-called strife that is born from lack and limitation. I claim and know the presence of God is there. Whether it is Ukraine or wherever it is, I know God is. I know abundance is. I know life is. I know life is. And so I declare and know right now that we stand together in this truth and this awareness of the allness of life. I speak a special word of blessing this morning for Reverend Dr. Sherry of McCreary, right where she is. God is, abundance is, life is, all is well. She is blessed, as is each member of this magnificent community. I am so thankful to know this word, to know this truth. I am so grateful to speak the word this morning. And I just let it be, because it is already complete. It was complete before I spoke. And so we just say together, and so it is. And so it is. Amen.